Welcome to Tactics and Touchlines. Today we have Football Matter again, trying to discuss the EPL games that are up and coming this weekend. We know there are some exciting games coming up this weekend, especially Leicester vs Chelsea, Ipswich vs Man United, and also Manchester City vs Tottenham Hotspur. So we'll look at the Arsenal Nottingham Forest because Nottingham Forest, we know in the first 10 games, they've been able to show that, yes, they can be named one of the big teams in the EPL now because their position on the league log is something to write home about. So first, let's look at the fixtures coming up. Let me just mention some of the fixtures, then we go into the games we'll be highlighting today. So this week, we have Leicester vs Chelsea, that is 12:30, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Fulham, Wolves, Man City, Tottenham Hotspur, Southampton, Liverpool, Ipswich, Man United, then Newcastle, West Ham United. So let's start with the Leicester City vs Chelsea game. This is a very exciting game. I think if not for Enzo Maresca, this game would have been a game nobody would talk about. But Enzo Maresca being the previous coach of Leicester City, moving to Chelsea. The last time he played against Chelsea with the Leicester side, they lost badly to Chelsea. Going into this game, let's look at what should we expect from Enzo Maresca, especially after an international break where most of his players had international duties and they are coming back into this game. So I want you to give us your analysis, especially on the Leicester and Chelsea game at 12:30 this weekend.
All right. Well, it's going to be definitely an exciting game and one game that, Chelsea so far this season have thrived on, playing against a lesser team that is outside the top 10. Because in the Premier League currently, every team likes to be bold. They want to attack you, and that's what Chelsea attackers feed on. The likes of Jackson and Palmer, and currently they have not been consistent in the last 3-4 games. They have not been on the same form they have shown in the first 7 games. So I feel like it's a match that they will take very seriously and want to bounce back, because currently Chelsea, despite being third, they are not in a good run of form in their last 5 games, and the pressure is piling up. They have only won one out of their last 5 matches, and then Chelsea have failed to keep a clean sheet in 6 occasions, and then as well as Leicester, Steve Cooper is also is also pressurized to win this match because he's just 3 points above the relegation zone. So it's a match he's looking to looking to go and win against Chelsea because he will fancy his chances. And Enzo Maresca will also want to come back to winning ways after some matches now. So it's going to be an exciting match, but there will be inconsistency in the match because of the injuries, like the lack of Leicester, will be missing out Vardy, a very key player, and then Boanote. He's their creative force. The Argentine has been very inspiring. He will be missing because of suspension. But Enzo Maresca, will miss Lavia, who definitely, sustained an injury during their training in Belgium. But as well, where the problem will be combination of Caicedo and Enzo, which I doubt we are going to see the two of them on the pitch that same day because of their late return from the international breaks, knowing fully well that Caicedo played their team, played with one man down, so in their last match. So it's going to be a lot on them, and then as well as Enzo Fernandez will be traveling from far, and then coming back to Chelsea. I feel like they will only meet one training session before the match. So we are going to look and see if Enzo Maresca is going to go with the two of them in the midfield, or he's going to go with KDH or Cassidy, or we will see another setup. But it's going to be an entertaining match because both teams, their defense are not strong and they like to attack each other.
Okay, so from injury side, from Leicester, we know Isawaku has picked up an injury. He had a surgery, and now he's going to miss the game from 6 to 9 months. That is what we are seeing. Jordan also picked an injury for Ghana. And on Chelsea side, Lavia has picked an injury for Belgium. Do you think this game is a game Jose Mourinho needs to start and also perform well? Maybe against his former club would be a revival of his career, especially coming to Chelsea, not getting enough chance to play this season.
Well, he's familiar with his teammates, and I feel like he should get his chance to play, despite the fact that he's not shown much this season, or he's not been given enough time, to be fair, But even the time he's been given, he's not shown enough. But your former teammates are your former teammates. You are more confident playing against them, and then sometimes you tend to score against them. So I think if he's given a chance, that would be fair.
Okay. So with this game, we know it's happening at 11:30, and we know 11:30 or early kickoff games comes with a whole lot of surprises. So with the Chelsea setup, we've seen issues before their last game where Madueke was subbed off, and there were rumors going around that he was angry and just went down the tunnel. Enzo Maresca had a comment about that. Do you think this game Chelsea fans shouldn't be surprised when they see Neto start ahead of Madueke, knowing that now Jadon Sancho is also back and training with the squad?
Well, it's just going to depend on the fitness level of Sancho. He might not be yet. He might have not reached that fitness level in terms of match fitness. So he might be on the bench. But if the coach assesses him and deem it fit that he's fit enough to start, then we might see him start alongside Neto, who returned early from the international break.
Okay. So this game, if you had to predict a scoreline for the Leicester versus Chelsea at early kickoff, what scoreline would you think this game would be?
I feel like Chelsea will win with a good margin. Maybe we see a 3-1, 4-2 situation.
Okay. So we are expecting more goals in the early kickoff this weekend. Let's look at the Nottingham Forest game. Nottingham Forest this season, I think on any other season, this fixture would be a walk home for Arsenal. But this season, they showed against the bigger clubs that, yes, they can come in and play. We saw it against Liverpool. We saw it against Chelsea. And they are showing that, yes, they're a team that this season, they at least want to avoid relegation, not just avoiding relegation, but also going to Europe. There's a fixture, a difficult fixture, especially for Arsenal. We know with their records or maybe their fixtures coming into this game hasn't been good. Their last game was a draw against Chelsea. Do you think Nottingham Forest with Nuno Espirito Santo, knowing that this is a big game for him, going away to bigger clubs has not been a problem for him? Do you think he can go into this game and surprise Mikel Arteta's Arsenal?
Yeah, Arsenal are going to be on their A game. If not, they're going to lose the match or even get a draw. And as far as I'm concerned, right now they are under big pressure. They have failed to win a lot of matches in their last few games. They are not on a good run of form for Arsenal. And Nottingham Forest are gaining on the momentum, and not a lot of their players went on the international break. The ones that went, they were called back early, like that's of Ola who left after the first match with Nigeria. So I think they are quite, a very solid side to play against, and defensive organization and structure is something that Nuno Espirito Santo thrives in, from his days in Wolves or wherever he's been to. So, and we saw that against Liverpool. Liverpool tried everything they could. They couldn't even score a goal or neither get a draw. So it's something that they're going to do. And everybody saw how they kept Palmer quiet. And they will be looking to do the same to Odegaard and Saka. And if they can keep these two guys quiet, they will stand a very big chance on the counters against Arsenal.
Let's look at the Arsenal side. We know the quickest someone has come from being on a lower position to winning the league has been a distance of 8 points. And Arsenal are now 9 points off the table. Do you think there is a chance? We all tipped Arsenal to challenge Manchester City for the title. With 9 points gap, do you think there is still a chance for Arsenal winning the league this season?
Yeah, well, it's only someone who is deluded or somebody who likes lying to themselves. We feel like Arsenal is going to challenge for the title this season. At most, what they will be doing this season is to just challenge for the top four. And that's the honest truth. Many of Arsenal fans will like to argue with me or will not believe me, but it's okay. But Arsenal is not going to challenge for the title this season. The challenge for the title is just between Liverpool and Man City, So yeah, they can't. It's not. They are not doing enough, and they seem to be falling off from, what they have built in the past 2 years.
Okay, with Nottingham Forest, their previous 4 games, 3 games they won on a bounce was without Nuno Espirito Santo on the bench. The game he came in to be on the bench, they lost. Are you thinking that maybe the assistant coach or the coach taking care of the team whilst he wasn't there had this lack of getting the team those victories? Or it's just a myth we should just write aside because it was Nuno who was just training this player, setting up the team for the assistant coach to take over?
It's just a mere coincidence that they won twice, he was off, and then when he came back, they lost. It just happens in football. And despite the fact he wasn't there, but he's still there because he was the one that prepared them for the match, did the trainings and everything, the dressing room talks. So it's just a matter of not being there in the 90 minutes that are on the pitch. And like a lot of coaches will say, matches are not actually won by your theatrics on the sideline, or so whether you jump up and whether you keep jumping up and down, it doesn't win matches. A lot of managers who jump up and down and they still don't win enough, or they are not successful enough. So yeah.
Okay, so this game, if we are trying to get a scoreline prediction for this game, Arsenal Nottingham Forest, what do you think the scoreline prediction would be?
Not really sure about that, but I feel like there will be a draw or a slight win. It's just about who is more clinical. Like it's a draw, but maybe any of the team can win. Any of the team can win.
And looking at lastly on this fixture, looking at Chris Wood this season, with goal contribution after Erling Haaland, he's the second player with most goals in the league. Do you think he can go forward and also score more goals? Because his best season in the EPL has been 8 goals, and now he's scoring more, even in game week 11 as we're about to play. Do you think he's a player who has now been reformed and we're going to see the best out of him with more goals, even challenging Haaland for the title, for the trophy? Yes.
Well, I don't know about challenging Haaland for the Golden Boot, but I know about him being a very good goal pusher. An out-and-out number 9. He's going to be there. He's going to have that presence. He brings his team into play. And then Nottingham Forest having 2 line huggers. Very traditional wingers that can go on the byline to cross the ball for him. They are not the ones that are always looking to cut inside and then take a shot on themselves or great. So when they try to cut in this, they still look out to create a chance for him. So he's quite lucky to have 2 good wingers, both on the and then Gibbs White also, their second captain, is very good, in creating chances for him. So he's running on his form now, and that's good to see.
So the next game we'll be looking at is Manchester City against Spurs. These 2 clubs, coming from their previous games, all came from defeat. And Man City has lost twice continuously in the league, 4 defeats in their last 4 games. Tottenham, we've seen, which everybody was surprised about that defeat. But this season, Tottenham has given points to clubs who are on losing runs. We saw Ipswich, we saw against Crystal Palace. Do you think there's a game, even with the record Spurs have over Man City, especially Pep Guardiola, do you think it's a game Man City will just walk over Spurs because they're just giving points to teams losing run?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting match. I reckon there will be goals in that match, a lot of them, because these 2 matches from their history, maybe in the last 40 years, a match that I've seen over 3.5 goals. And, Ange Postecoglou, he's someone that likes attacking. He doesn't even care if his back line is good enough or his midfield is solid enough. He's going to attack you regardless, So it's going to be an interesting match. And Manchester City, just like you said, form, and they would like to bounce back after that shocking defeat against Brighton. And one thing I would like to note is that Manchester City, it's not like they are playing badly. No, they are not playing badly. They are playing very well. If people watch the matches they lost, both the one against Sporting Lisbon, they lost 4-1 in the Champions League. If Haaland was at least 50 to 70% clinical, the match would have ended in the first half. He missed 3 big chances in that first half. He even missed penalty later on. So it's just about being clinical. Haaland in Man City, in those last few games, he's not been as clinical as he normally is. And Man City have been missing a lot of chances. So, and against Brighton too, in the first half, they could have killed that game off. All the matches they've lost, they played better. And as like Guardiola said, they weren't playing badly. It's different from the match they won against Fulham, where they played badly. But, the luck was, they were lucky on that match to still have a win after playing badly. But these ones are the ones that are those type of matches that you lose or you don't get the results you want, but you're happy with the performance because you did your best. So people should not neglect that fact. And they are still second, by the way, and 4 points ahead, whosoever is behind them. And they are coming into the match with Haaland coming on the back of form he went to in the international break, scoring a hat-trick and then scoring on the other match. He has 4 goals, I think. So it's not going to be easy for Tottenham. And Tottenham defense is in shambles. Romelu had a knock, and then it's yet to be certain if Van der Ven will play. So they're going to play with 2 different centre-backs. I think Davies will be coming in, who is not a pure centre-back. It's just a makeshift left back that is going to come in for that centre-back role, and it's very old. I don't think he is able to keep up with the pace of Haaland. And Man City will be losing Foden, but KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, I think he's well rested now, and he will have a go. Threading those through passes for Haaland is something that it will be hard for argument to defend, knowing fully well that they like to play on a very high line, which is something I feel like Haaland will feed on. So it will be very interesting to see how the match is going to be. And I'm sure that Man City defense also has not been the same. And Kulusevski, Son, and Maddison will want to feed on that as well. So it's going to be a end-to-end game, very highly entertaining game. Yeah.
Okay, so from the Man City side, as you said, they've been playing well. They are doing everything possible, but they are not getting the goals. Do you think Rodri not being part of the team has been a big factor? And we all know Pep Guardiola to be one of the coaches who try to come up with ideas to win games. Do you think this Rodri issue would go ahead to harm them in defending their league title this season?
Definitely, there is the Rodri issue, but what they have been facing this season is not only the Rodri issue or Rodri effect. They sold Alvarez without replacing him. Alvarez last season scored quite a lot of goals, and important ones for that matter. And Kevin De Bruyne has not been starting. He's been quite injured and out of the lineup. And these 2 players, Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri, alongside Haaland, has been key players for Man City. And they're not replacing Alvarez, who is a very good goal scorer, relying heavily on Haaland, has been hurting them because Haaland was not the same form he was starting the season. And then the other people, the other players have failed to step up. At a point, Kovacic, who is not a regular starter, was their second highest goal scorer behind Haaland, which is not good enough. So that's what they've been suffering from. So once KDB kickstarts and get back to form, and then there is also the Foden effect, who has not been in the same form he was last season. He was of course, the player of the season, Man City player of the season, and he was scoring bangers and bangers. So these are the factors, not just the Rodri effect, because it's not about them conceding a lot of goals. It's about them not scoring enough now.
Okay, with Spurs, we've seen this season, they had 2-0 win in the first half against Brighton, came in the second half and lost the game 3-2. We saw Spurs against Crystal Palace, who have not picked the victory the whole season. Crystal Palace had to beat them. Yes, Crystal Palace beat them, then Ipswich also came to beat them. Yeah. So games in a run, especially against clubs that they should go all out and win, they go in and lose. Angie stated that in his second season, he gets to win trophies in the second season. Do you think he's still in the run to win a trophy this season? And what is the problem with the Spurs team, especially against clubs who are coming from defeats?
There's no problem with the Spurs team. Spurs is just going to be Spurs, We've seen a lot of managers, the likes of Mourinho, the likes of Conte, people are serial winners that have won wherever they have been, but have failed to do that in Tottenham. So Tottenham will just, do their Spursy thing. They are a very inconsistent team. They can never be consistent. It's just in their culture, winning. The players are very relaxed. They are not on pressure. They don't put significance to the different matches. We are coming to this match and having that mentality that we are not going to, lose this match. It's not in Tottenham culture or mentality. They don't have that mentality. And the players, they are quite comfortable. And that's why every coach tends to complain after a while, being there, because it's not something that I used to. Every team, other teams do have that winning mentality in them and show that mentality when they don't win. but it's not something that Spurs are used to. They are comfortable being an average team.
Okay, so looking at this game, with your predicted scoreline for Manchester Spurs, what would you think the scoreline would be?
For Man City, Tottenham.
Yeah.
I feel like Man City will win 3-1.
Okay. So let's look at the last game we are picking for this section. And Ipswich vs Man United, which I think on a normal day wouldn't have been any big fixture. But Ruben Amorim coming and his first game in charge has brought the excitement to this game. Ipswich came from a win against Spurs. Man United also had a win. Going into this game, we've seen video sections of Ruben Amorim, and we've seen how he's trying to set up his team. There've been issues going around that there are players he's trying to highlight, especially when it comes to training. So we've seen training sections where he's been pushing Mason Mount to do more. We've seen Luke Shaw and others also being involved. Let's look at this game from the Man United's perspective. If any United fan is watching us this evening or this section, should they be excited about Ruben Amorim being their head coach going into the season, or they should take their time and let him have his time to go through this season, and maybe from next season they can try and put in the debate of they winning the league title?
Every Manchester United fan out there should be excited. Ruben Amorim is somebody that has that charisma. He has some winning mentality with him. For somebody to have 71% winning percentage in Sporting Lisbon since his time in Sporting Lisbon 2020-2021 season, from 2020 till now, it's just only 2 teams in the whole Europe Top 5 league that has managed more wins than him. So even from the time he was in Casa Pia, in Braga and everything, he has been trying to win, beating records, winning teams that the team has failed to win for a long time. So he's a serial winner. He went to Braga, won them their first domestic title after 4 years. He went to Sporting Lisbon, won them their league title, and then the Taka Portugal under domestic. So he's somebody that is good in winning, and he's somebody that pays attention to setting up a structure. Just like the training video that was released, you see him imputing his structure already into the team, and then showing a recognizable identity. That's what he thrives in. And just like you mentioned, Mason Mount, I think he's a player that will thrive under that formation or under him, because Mason Mount, you all know, have the work rate. He's a manager's boy. When he was on form, both in the club and in the national team, he's someone that gets to start every time. So I think maybe this is his final chance to, prove to the world that he's still Mason Mount. And a lot of players there will be quite happy to get into the team and do something for the team. So they are still on that manager bounce and manager bubble. And I feel like winning Ipswich shouldn't be a much big deal for them.
Okay, with Ipswich this season, they are one of the clubs coming from the Championship who in games come to play. We saw them drawing against Aston Villa, getting a win against Tottenham Hotspur. Do you think their manager, who was one time being tipped to being the Man United coach, this is a big game for him to show Man United why he was the best person for the job, and also they're not selecting him? So do you think this game will be a personal thing for him to defeat Man United and also Ruben Amorim on his first day in the Premier League?
Yes, of course. He's going to ride on his winning momentum, winning Tottenham, their first league win, and the first Ipswich win in the top flight after so many years. So he's definitely going to ride on that momentum. And also the fact that, unlike Manchester United, a lot of their players went on the international duty. Most of the Ipswich players are still training with him. So they will fancy their chances, aside from the injuries they have in, Ogbene and some other players, Jack Taylor and some other players that will be missing. But he will have a point to prove, because he will be looking at, wanting to be a potential manager for Manchester United in the future. So winning Manchester United with Ipswich Town will do a lot to his CV. So I think he will take that game personal, and he will like his return to Manchester United to be a success for him.
Okay. So let's look at this fixture, the predicted scoreline for this fixture. What do you think the scoreline would be?
And I think this one will be hard, but I don't know. Manchester United are off from a good momentum with Ruud van Nistelrooy winning 3 out of 4 games and failing to lose anyone. And well, coming on this one as well, I think a slight win for Manchester United, maybe 3-2, 3-1 win for Manchester United.
Okay. So with the Premier League, we know the first 10 games are out and we are on to the next 10 games. That's from game week 11 to game week 20. We're going to look at some of the fixtures coming up. And on the next 10 games, Everton has the difficult fixtures, especially going into December and January. And Leicester are the second team with the toughest fixture. Apart from that, we have Tottenham Hotspur also being the third. From the bottom, Chelsea have the easiest fixture, especially in the 10 games. Brighton are the next before Chelsea. They have the less difficult ones, and Wolves and Arsenal. Then we are going to look at the top 4 going into December, because we've known that the league is normally being decided in December. So we are going to look at some of the top teams and their fixtures in this December. Then after that, you give me your top 4 prediction for December, at the end of December, what we should expect the table to be. So Arsenal will be playing Nottingham Forest. They will be playing, after their next game, they'll be playing Nottingham Forest, they'll be playing Wolves, and they'll be playing Manchester United. So out of these 3 games, how many points do you think they can pick? Against Nottingham Forest, against West Ham, and against Man United?
I don't like to predict matches that are very much far ahead, because it's very hard to predict based off of the midweek matches, the Champions League matches, and then the fitness of the team or suspensions and everything, because one player could be suspended by injury or red card, situation. So, and you wouldn't know where the priority is placed by the coach. When you have a bigger team in the Champions League, a lot of players will be rested, for the for the Premier League match in the weekend, and some of them will be taken off after maybe like 60 minutes to prepare for the other match. Just like before now, Liverpool's next 10 features was shown, and people were saying they're going to now is the real test and everything. But they took it game after game, and after 7 of those matches we have played, they won 6 and drew only 1. So these things will happen with luck, and then the momentum you are playing with, and it's game after game. But for that match, I feel like winning West Ham is a must for them, and it's definitely going to be a win. Manchester United will definitely be a hard game. I feel like Ruben Amorim is going to prove something. I see a draw there. And then that of Nottingham Forest. A lot of teams lose momentum after the international break. So it's also quite dicey. And with the run of form Arsenal I think I've said draw before. So I see them getting like 5 out of 9.
Okay. So the next team we'll be looking at is Aston Villa. They have Crystal Palace, Chelsea, and Brentford. We know Brentford this season are showing some good form, especially scoring goals. So with Aston Villa, do you think out of their next 3 games, which on the list is being labeled, any game that is being labeled green means is an easy game for them. That is the Crystal Palace and Brentford. And the Chelsea one being labeled red means that it's a difficult game. So with Aston Villa, how many points do you think they'll be able to pick from these 3 games? That is Crystal Palace, Chelsea, and Brentford.
It's a very big, tough fixture for them. Those 3 matches they are 3 good managers. It's not going to be easy. None of those matches will be easy for them. I don't even know. They'll maybe around 3 or 4 points. I feel like 3 or 4 points.
Okay, let's look at Chelsea. They have the easiest game, especially going into, and they have Leicester City, Aston Villa, and Southampton. 2 promoted side and Aston Villa. How many points do you think Enzo Maresca would pick from these 3 games?
You say they have Leicester, they have
Aston Villa, and Southampton.
To be fair, I feel like Chelsea will get 7 out of 9 points, or 9 out of 9. To be fair, but I feel 7 out of 9 is more realistic, as they will win the 2 relegation teams, and Aston Villa will be a very tough test. And I feel like they might come out with a draw, because Chelsea have not, shown to win or have that mentality to win against these top teams, as we've seen in Nottingham Forest and other teams in the top 10.
Okay, so with Liverpool has Southampton, Man City, and Newcastle. Southampton, Man City, and Newcastle, which Man City is a tough game for them. Newcastle also becomes one of the biggest fixtures, especially playing against Liverpool. So how many points will Liverpool pick from these fixtures? That is Southampton, Manchester City, and also Newcastle.
To be honest, Liverpool win the 3 matches.
They win all.
With the form Liverpool are in now is the best time for them to meet Man City. Man City defense is not good, and Liverpool's front line is their key asset, because this season their fullbacks are not even like attacking so much. They are doing their basic job as a defender and then attacking on a few times. They regulate the way they attack, and their defense is quite solid. To score Liverpool this season has been hard, and then their front line is danger, is top form.
Okay, so let's look at Ruben Amorim's set. He is playing Ipswich, Everton, and Arsenal. So out of these 3 games, how many points can he pick, especially having 2 easy games and Arsenal being his 3rd game in charge?
7 points is fair.
That's 7 points for him. So I want you to give me your top 4 from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Like at the end of December, what should we expect from the league table? Who would be 1st, who would be 2nd, and who would be 3rd, and who would also occupy the 4th position?
From the dynamics of the game so far, I feel like Liverpool should still be 1st, Man City 2nd, Chelsea, Arsenal and Chelsea
will occupy the 3rd and 4th position.
Arsenal and Chelsea.
Okay. So thank you, Football Matters, for helping us analyze this week's EPL games and also looking at some of the difficult fixtures and also some of the upcoming fixtures